So, due to the changes of the world, there are global divides, global north and global south. Although the world is globalizing very quickly because of the technologies, advancement in logistics, and many more, there's still this idea that continue to strengthen and intensify. Patuloy na lumalakas at umiigting. Yun yung idea ng regionalism. The concept is global, and then meron ding region. For example, here in the Philippines, meron tayong regional and national issues. Pag sinabing regional issues, it pertains only to a specific area or region here in the Philippines, gaya ng Ilocos Region, Calabarzon, Zamboanga Peninsula, and other regions na meron dito sa Pilipinas. While on the other hand, pag sinabi namang national issues, it covers all the issues across the country. So, meaning to say, lahat tayong mamamayang Pilipino na nakatira dito sa bansang Pilipinas ay apektado nitong sinabing issue. So, meron tayong karapatang i-voice out yung ating pananaw ukol sa issue kinakaharap ng ating bansa. Meron din tayong rights to ask questions kung bakit ganito, bakit ganyan, anong nangyari, mga ganong katanungan na related doon sa kinakaharap na issue ng ating bansa. Pero hindi ko naman sinasabi pag regional issues ay wala na dapat pakalam yung mamamayang Pilipino na hindi nakatira doon sa apektadong lugar or apektadong region. But what I'm trying to say is pag region kasi, nakafocus lang siya sa specific area or region. So yung mga taong nakatira sa region na ito ay apektado at may direkta silang interest doon sa kanilang region na kinakasakupan. Pero that doesn't mean na hindi pwedeng alam yung mga Pilipinong hindi nakatira doon sa apektadong region. Pwede pa rin silang alam at magsabi kung anong pananaw nila, lalo na kung mayroong malaking epekto ito sa aspeto ng ating bansa o sa kanilang kinabukasan or sa buhay nila. Okay? So, now, we will be introducing to you guys our topic, Asian regionalism. So, before that, let us first know kung ano yung objectives natin, okay? So, in this lesson, Asian regionalism, we will be first defining the regionalism. Second, we will be differentiate the regionalization and globalization. So, third, we will be identifying the factors leading to the greater integrations of the Asian nations or region. And lastly, we will be analyzing how different Asian states confronted the challenges of globalization and regionalization. First and foremost, let us first know kung ano yung definition ng region for us to really understand kung ano yung lesson natin for today. Sabi ni Edward and Helen, ang region daw is a group of countries located in the same geographically specific area. Meaning to say, ang region daw ay usually yun yung mga bansang magkakalapit, magkakatabi, magkapit-bahay, magkakalapit bansa. Example niyan ay dito sa Southeast Asia. Meron yung, di ba tayo, Pilipinas, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, at kabilang sila sa Southeast Asia kasi yun yung magkakalapit. Pero bakit itong bansang ito? Bakit yung example here sa Pilipinas at sa Taiwan? Malapit lang naman sila, halos magkalapit naman sila, pero ang Taiwan ay hindi siya part ng Southeast Asia. Siyempre, we need to consider some factors pa rin to identify kung saan kabilang sila sa region ng Asia, like kung saan location sila, environment na meron sila, and others, para masabi kung saan region talaga sila kabilang. Hindi porket malapit itong bansang ito at itong bansang ito, ay same sila ng region sa Asia, Consider pa rin natin yung mga other factors para masabi kung saan silang region sa Asia. Okay. Ang sabi din ni Edward and Helen, ang region daw is amalgamation of two regions or combination of more than two regions. So meaning to say that regions can be created daw by joining different areas together for specific goals. At importante ito kasi may goal yung bansa na nagtutulungan para regulate and oversee flows and policy choices. At yung mga flows na yon included yung mga trades, investment, or movement of people. While yung policy choices, yun yung agreement nila in terms sa ating ekonomiya or politika and also security. Okay? So, they had further specified kung ano yung difference between regionalism and regionalization. So, Ang regionalism daw is a political process characterized by economic policy cooperation and coordination among countries. So this is where countries coordinate in order to form alliance with nearby country, Nagbubuo sila ng alliances doon sa magkalapit na bansa sa kanila. At magandang example dito ay yung ASEAN, okay, which is Philippines a member of. So, on the other hand naman, sabi nila ang regionalization daw is a regional concentration of economic flows between countries. So, ngayon, ipapaliwanag natin kung ano yung regionalism para maintindihan talaga natin kung ano yung lesson natin for today. Okay, so
dito naman tayo sa regionalism. What is regionalism? Regionalism is the development of political, economic, or social systems based on loyalty to a distinct geographic region with a largely ideologically and culturally homogeneous population. Regionalism often leads to formally agreed to arrangement between groups of countries intended to express a common sense of identity while achieving common goals and improving quality of life. Regionalism is when people in a specific area like region or group of countries develop their own systems for politics, economy, or society because they have a strong sense of loyalty to that area. This usually happens when the people in the region share similar beliefs, cultures, or ways of life. Kapag nangyari yung regionalism, it often leads to official agreements between countries or areas that have the same goals. These agreements are made because of the people in those areas feel connected by shared identity, ganon. They want to work together to improve things like economy, safety, or quality of life for everyone in the region. For example, countries in a region might form an economic partnership to trade goods without taxes, or they might create political agreement to handle issues like border security. Together, this helps them support each other, stay connected, and make the region stronger. Regionalism is all about unity and cooperation within a specific area where people feel they belong. Ito yung explanation nun. Pag nagkaroon ng regionalism ay may involved na shift of power from a central national government down to smaller, more localized levels. Ibig sabihin nito na instead yung decisions being made at a higher national level, they are made closer to the region or local community. This decentralization allows for greater local control over political, economic, or social matters that are important to that specific region. For example, in regionalism, yung mga magkakatabing bansa gaya dito sa Asia, yung nagbubuo ng alliances to support each other, nabubuo sila kasi they face similar challenges or share common goals such as improving their economies, enhancing social welfare, or boosting political stability. A strong collaboration between these countries allows them to work on these common goals, helping one another to improve the quality of life for their populations. At isa pa sa mga objective or goal nila ay mapubuti ang kanilang ekonomiya.
Punta naman tayo ngayon sa dimension of regionalism. At mamaya naman ay i-differentiate naman natin ang regionalization and globalization. Okay? So, we have 4 dimensions of regionalism or a concept of regionalism. So, the first one is region as a geographical unit. Second, region as a social system. Third is regions as organized cooperation. And lastly, the fourth one is the region acts as a subjects with distinct identity, language, culture, and tradition. So, pag sinabing region as a geographical unit, so a region daw can be interpreted as a specific area of land that has defined boundaries. At yung mga boundaries na yun ay can be natural like rivers, mountains, and human-made like borders between countries or cities. So, for example, for Asia naman, kung titignan natin Asia as a region, it can be seen as a large geographical unit not clearly separated from other natural borders or even political boundaries. So, kung titingnan natin dito, ang Asia continent at Europe continent ay nahahati dahil sa kanilang natural boundaries, gaya ng rivers or Caspian Sea, Ural Mountains, and Ural River na makikita natin dito. Yung nakadraw dyan, may mga nakadraw dyan. Yun yung nag-separate from the Asian continent and Europe continent. Okay? Ang Asia din ay nahahati sa 5 regions. We have 5 regions, We have South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, which includes yung China, South Korea, Taiwan. So, nahahati ito kasi meron silang sariling cultural and historical boundaries na nag-set apart from other Asia. Gaya doon sa Southeast Asia, na includes yung India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. At yung mga region na to are distinct geographical unit kasi meron silang differences in terms of culture, languages, traditions, and even physical features like mountains or rivers that acts as a natural boundaries. So, in addition lang din, sa Asia din natin makikita yung most populous countries gaya ng China and India. And also, sa Asia din natin makikita yung some smallest states gaya ng Maldives and Bhutan. Okay? So, let's go to the second dimension of regionalism. So, region as a social system. Ang region daw can be interpreted as a space where people, communities, and societies connect through social, economical, political, and cultural ties. So, kung titignan natin ang Asia as a region or a social system, ang Asia ay hindi lang a physical space, but also a social system of interconnected societies, economies, cultures, and political system. At yung social ties across the continent form a unique social system that shape the interactions between countries and the communities. So, in terms of sa politika naman, ang Philippines ay nagtre-trades ng goods sa ibang Asian countries and also join groups like ASEAN. At itong grupo na to ay tinutulungan yung mga bansa sa Asia to grow their economy together, invest in other businesses na pwedeng tulungan ang kanilang bansa. Sa culture naman, ang Pilipinas, as we all know, ang Korea ay ang laki ng influence nila in terms of sa culture ng mga Korean. Dahil sa mga napapanood natin, nakikita, naririnig, na-adapt natin yung mga ibang kultura ng Korean, gaya sa kanilang mga musics, also sa pagkain, di ba? Also ngayon yung samji. Na-adapt natin sa kanila yon dahil malakas yung impluwensya nila sa atin. So, ang Asia, included ang Pilipinas, are not only connected just by location, but also sharing cultures, working together, and also supporting each others. Okay? So, the third dimension of regionalism, regions are an organized cooperation. So, it can be interpreted as a group of nations who agree to take part and form a formal organization. So, pwede natin tignan yung region as a organized cooperation. Pwede natin sabihin na ang organized cooperation dito sa Southeast Asia is through ASEAN, which a Philippine are member of, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina. So, the fourth dimension, or the last dimension of regionalism is region acts as a subject with distinct identity, language, culture, and traditions. So, this means though that each region has characteristics that set it apart from others, including how people live, what they believe, and how they communicate. So, for example, here sa region Southeast Asia, we have a distinct identity by cultures, traditions, and languages. For example, dito sa Pilipinas, di ba? Meron tayong sariling lingwahe na also regional language or dialects na ating sinasalita. Meron tayong lingwaheng Pilipino at meron tayong mga ibang dialect gaya ng Ilocano, Bisaya, at Cebuano at other dialect ng meron sa Pilipinas. We also celebrate like fiesta, Christmas in unique ways. And ganun din sa ibang bansa gaya ng Thailand. Meron din silang sariling lingwahe, kultura, at tradition na up until now ay kanilang ginagawa. So that making them unique from other Asian region and beyond. So those are the dimension of regionalism.
Now let's proceed to the difference between globalization and regionalization. Globalization and regionalization are two critical processes shaping the modern world, influencing international relations, trades, culture, and economic development. while both involve the interaction and collaboration of nations. They operate at different level and scale. Pag sinabing globalization, is a phenomenon that describes the increasing interdependence of world economies. It represents the process of international integration arising from the exchange of worldview, product, and ideas with scope being worldwide. This interconnectedness is often associated with the reduction of trade barriers, the spread of technology, and the movement of capital, labor, and information across borders. Globalization enhances economic growth, expands access to goods and services, promotes cultural exchange, and accelerates technological advancement. However, it also poses challenges such as economic equality and cultural uniformity. In essence, globalization brings the world closer together, fostering interconnection on a large scale. Globalization has always stood as the country work together in order to develop thus this political, economic, cultural, and environment interconnection are the biggest backbone of improvement of today developing world. Next naman, pag sinabing regionalization, is a component of globalization but focuses on specific geographic areas. It emphasizes the importance of regional identities, cooperation, and economic stability. Regionalization involves the collaboration of countries within a defined region, such as Southeast Asia or the Asia Pacific, to address shared challenges and opportunities. This process often includes regional agreement on trade, security, health, and other areas of common interest. According to Harrell in 2007, regionalization reflects a one world or many world relationship where region development influence and are influenced by the broader global context. Regionalization can be seen as building block or globalization, promoting political stability, economic growth, and cultural exchange within a specific region.
In the past, madaming bansa sa Asia ang nakahamon o nakaranas ng hamon in terms of their economies and politics. At dahil dyan, they are struggling to keep up with more developed parts of the world. However, in the recent decades, several East Asian countries gaya ng South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan ay nakilala dahil sa kanilang pagbilis sa paglago ng kanilang ekonomiya. At yung mga nations na yan are often called tiger economies dahil sa kanilang fast-paced development and strong industries. So, yung transformations na yan ay hindi lang isang bansa ang nakinabang, but also shows, pinapakita kung paano ang cooperation ng within Asian countries or within Asia ay nag-lead sa regional strength. So, as countries like China, Japan, South Korea, and Asian nations grew economically, kaya ina-influence nila yung mga katibing bansa nila to adopt the similar strategies na para lumago ang kanilang ekonomiya at iba pang makakatulong sa kanilang bansa. Before this growth, ang Asia before ay tinitignan bilang underdeveloped region. Pero dahil sa kanilang hard work and smart policies, several Asian countries ay quickly transformed their economies. At yung rapid progress na yan ay tinatawag bilang East Asian Miracle, which refers kung paano yung mga bansang ito boosted their economies, improved living standards, and made Asia as major player in a global economy. Itong success na to ay nagawa dahil sa strong leaders, wise investments, and the ability to adapt to global changes.
Factor leading to greater integration in Asia. First, increased trade between countries. One big reason for Asia's integration is the rise in trade between countries in the region. Kasi many Asia countries have large economies, which means they can buy and sell a lot from each other. At madaming tao na gumagamit ng mobile phones, kaya business can easily communicate and sell product online. For example, sa bansang Vietnam at Thailand, Vietnam export clothes to Thailand while importing electronics from there. Online shopping platform like Shopee or Lazada help small business reach customer across border. Second, stronger financial connection. Other important factor is the development of strong financial ties between Asian countries. This helps is work together between and protect them from economic problem. Example, countries in Asia have created organizations like the Asian Development Bank or ADB that help them work together on financial issues. This means they can lead money to each other when needed. Last is working together on production. Countries in Asia are becoming expert of making different parts of product. They focus on what they do best, which makes everything cheaper and faster. Example, Samsung designed its smartphone in South Korea, however they have parts made in Vietnam. Because it's cheaper, the chip are made in Taiwan and sent Vietnam to assemble into the final smartphone. They way each country uses in strength, making the whole process faster and less expensive.
Trade is when countries buy and sell goods and services from each other. The world economy is connected, which means that what happens in one country can affect others. Imagine we live in a neighborhood where everyone has a different skills. Yung isa is nag-bake ng mga cake and breads, yung isa naman is nagbebenta ng mga gulay, at yung isa is gumagawa ng mga furnitures. Kapag nag-trade silang lahat, be-benefit sila. So, similarly, Asian countries trade to meet their needs, which help them grow economically. Mahalaga ang trade kasi maraming produkto at serbisyo ang makikita sa ibang bansa kung wala sa sarili nating bansa. Asia has many different cultures, but many countries share similar traditions, beliefs, and values. Example na lang is yung kaibigan mo. Kapag parehas kayo ng hobbies, mas madali niyong maintindihan ng isa't isa at nakaka-relate kayo. Gaya rin yan sa dalawang bansa. If two countries share the similar cultures or traditions, they can connect more easily when discussing important matters like trade agreements, common goals. Asian countries are starting to see the benefit of slow integration. Since many countries are close to each other, they can work more easily. Think of it like a group projects in school. When everyone contribute their strength at umaambag sa groupings, mas nagiging maganda yung result. At they can do better. So, isipin mo na kapag walang umaambag at walang cooperation, anong mangyayari? Sa Asian countries, marami silang na-achieve by cooperating and supporting each other.
Few factors contributing to the growth of the Asian interregional trade. Interregional, ito ay ang kalakalan sa pagitan ng mga bansa sa loob ng parehong rehiyon. One of the factors contributing to the growth of the Asian interregional trade is they include the rise in regional income. Kapag tumataas ang kita ng mga tao sa isang rehiyon, tumataas din ang kanilang kakayahang bumili ng mga produkto at serbisyo. Ito ay nagiging sanhi ng pagtaas ng demand para sa mga kalakal at serbisyo. Pangalawa, the removal of trade barriers. Ang mga hadlang sa kalakalan tulad ng mga taripa at kota ay nakakaapekto sa daloy ng kalakalan sa pagitan ng mga bansa. So, kapag tinanggal ang mga hadlang na ito, mas madali at mas mura para sa mga may negosyo ang makipagkalakalan sa isa't isa. And last, advances in production and transportation technologies. Ang mga pag-unlad sa production at teknolohiya ng transportasyon ay nagpapababa ng gastos ng paggawa at pagdadala ng mga kalakal. Ito ay nagpapahintulot sa mga negosyo na magbenta ng kanilang mga produkto sa mas malawak na merkado. Factors restraining regional integration. Regional integration, ito ay ang proseso ng pagsasama ng mga ekonomiya ng mga bansa sa isang rehiyon. One of the factors restraining regional integration is the high trade and investment restrictions. Ang mga mataas na gastos sa kalakalan at mga paghihigpit sa pamumuhunan ay maaaring magpahina ng kalakalan sa pagitan ng mga bansa. Halimbawa, ang mga mataas na taripa ay maaaring magpataas ng gastos ng mga kalakal na ginagawa namang mas mahal ang mga ito para sa mga mamimili. And last, inefficient policy, relevant analytical work on gains of regional integration in both trade and investment to make informed policy decisions. Ang kakulangan ng pag-aaral na may kaugnayan sa patakaran sa mga pakinabang ng regional integration ay maaaring magpahirap sa mga pamahalaan na gumawa ng mga desisyon sa patakaran na nagtataguyod ng kalakalan at pamumuhunan.
To understand Asian regionalism, we must first acknowledge the powerful forces of globalization that have shaped the region's history and development. One way to view this relationship is through an externalist perspective. The region as an object impacted by globalization. An externalist view refers to the colonial rule and dominance of Eastern countries to Asian countries. In addition, technologically and industrially more advanced Western powers found their way through the region and alternatively rapid and muscled their way to political and economic dominance. So first, I am going to discuss what is colonial rule and dominance. So what are the colonial rule and dominance?
Dominance, ang pananakop ng mga taga-Europe ay nagdulot ng malaking pagbabago sa Asia simula pa noong 1500s na nagpatupad ng mga bagong sistema ng ekonomiya, paniniwala at estruktura ng politika. Ito ay nagresulta ng malawakang pagbabago maging sa mga bansang tulad ng Japan at Thailand na nakaiwas sa kolonisasyon. World War II. Matapos ang ikalawang digmaang pandaigdig, naging mahalaga ang papel ng Estados Unidos sa pagpapalakas ng ekonomiya ng Japan at ang pagsasama nito sa pandaigdigang merkado. Ang pagbubukas ng mga merkado ng Amerika sa produktong Hapon ay nagtulak sa mabilis na pag-unlad ng Japan at nag-integrate sa bansa sa multilateral na kaayusan ng ekonomiya. Adoption of export-oriented growth. Noong taong 1980 at 1990, ang Japan, Korea at Taiwan ay nagpatupad ng mga patakaran na nakatuon sa pag-export na nagresulta sa mabilis na paglago ng kanilang ekonomiya. At sinundan ito ng pag-usbong ng mga Timog Silangang Asya na higit na umaasa sa dayuhang pamumuhunan.
The region as a springboard. The generative view shows how the region as an active agent pushing the process of globalization forward. It can be seen as a force for good, bringing economic development, political progress, and social and cultural diversity to the region. International Monetary Fund and World Bank, the Bretton Woods system. But before that, let's differentiate between IMF and World Bank. These two are two separated international organizations that play crucial roles in global finance and development. IMF, it promotes global economic stability, secures financial stability, facilitates international trade, and reduces poverty. And also IMF is nagpo-function siya sa it's provide short-term loans to countries facing balance of payment problems and also maintains exchange rate stability. Halimbawa na lang sila ay nagbibigay ng mga pautang sa mga bansang nasa krisis pinansyal. And ang International Monetary Fund pala ay isang international na institusyon na nagbibigay ng tulong pinansyal sa mga bansang nangangailangan.
Part of the Bretton Woods system, IMF and World Bank were the cornerstones of economic liberalization and globalization. In the post-war global economy, also they soon turned their attention to the developing world, including Southeast Asia. In Indonesia, Suharto's policies and the economic framework under the IMC and World Bank provided crucial assistance and foundation for the legitimacy of the authoritarian Suharto. In Thailand, the IFIs pushed liberalization and export-oriented growth, which led to increasing amount of foreign investment and double-digit GDP growth. While in the Philippines, the World Bank and the IMF had a relationship with Ferdinand Marcos, whose tenure left with nearly $30 billion in debt. Asian financial crisis. The IFIs and Orthodox argued that the Asian financial crisis in 1997 due to poor policies, weak governance, corruption, poor institution, and inadequate liberalization. Liberalization of economy and membership to World Trade Organization. China liberalizing their economy in the late 1970s with the reform introduced by Deng Xiaoping. India began to liberalize their economy in 1991 and increase levels of trade and foreign direct investment, particularly in the textiles and services sectors of the economy. Effect on employment practices. The study of International Labour Organization highlights how labor practices are undergoing significant changes. These are the following: temporary and part-time employment in Japan, Korea, and Australia. Underemployment. Philippines has 18% of the workforce, while Indonesia has 25% of workforce. No legal contract. Poor working conditions and safety issues at factories that manufacture goods for Western companies.
Meron din pala siyang effects pagdating sa politics. Many countries have moved away from authoritarian regimes to democratic regimes. So, ang authoritarian regimes, ito yung one or group of small people lang yung may held ng power. So, tayong mga citizen is limited lang yung rights and freedoms natin. So, hindi tayo masyado nakikip-participate o nakaka-participate sa politics. Ang democratic regimes naman, ito yung tayo. Tayong citizen ang may held ng powers. Meron tayong rights at freedoms para iboto kung sino yung gusto natin na maging leaders through voting. Iboto natin kung sino yung karapat-dapat na maging leader. At dapat yung may good governance. Why did this change happen? Meron akong 3 reasons kung bakit nangyari yun. The first one is the rising middle classes. As economies grow, marami ng people na nagiging part ng middle classes. Sila yung mga financially stable na at educated. Nagdedemand sila ng democratic changes kasi gusto nila ng voice at rights pagdating sa politics. The second one is more connected world. The world now is more connected through social media and internet. Pagka browse mo pa lang ng ganon, makikita mo na yung iba't ibang ideas nila about governments. At marami pang tao na nakikita ko sa social media na nagpo-protest against unfair governments. We have rights to do that kasi citizens din tayo. Nakikita natin kung ano yung mga ginagawa ng mga nasa gobyerno. Nakikita natin kung sino yung mga present pag may mga sakuna or ano mang nangyayari ngayon. The third one is end of Cold War. After the period tension between the superpowers, the USA and USSR, marami ng countries na nafe-feel nila na kailangan nila rin ng democratic change, kaya nangyari yun. So, para mas maintindihan natin mabuti, gawin natin example yung nangyari sa Indonesia. Ito yung the fall of Suharto in Indonesia. In May 1998, si President Suharto ay nag-resign after being in powers for 31 years kasi may nangyari sa Indonesia na Asian financial crisis kung saan may high inflation, tumaas yung mga bilihin at maraming taong nawala ng trabaho. So, many people are unhappy sa nangyaring yun kaya nag-protest sila. Nag-resign si President Suharto at dun na nagsimula na Indonesia ay nag-held ng free elections of may freedom sa elections at pagdating sa politics. Effects on culture. Ang globalization daw ay nag-lead sa cultural homogenization kung saan nagiging similar na yung mga cultures natin sa iba't ibang bansa. One example of the rising fast food chain kung saan yung mga McDo, Jollibee ay nakikita na rin sa Pilipinas at sa ibang bansa. Isa na rin dito yung growth of supermarkets. Maraming tao na nagtitinda ng mga standard items gaya ng mga products ng Korea at mga nagsusuot na rin. At sinusuportahan yung mga musics like Blackpink at unti na rin yung nakikita natin na gumagamit ng mga gawang Pinoy at dahil daw dito sa actions is parang na-hurt daw yung traditional markets natin. Okay lang naman gumamit ng mga standard items but huwag natin kalimutan o appreciate yung mga produkto na meron sa Pilipinas. Dapat isupport pa rin natin.
Rise of Japan, China, and India. The end of World War II and the rise of the Cold War helped bring Japan into the global economy. Japan, as a resource-poor nation, instead embarked on a massive project to procure materials such as coal and iron at unprecedented economies of scale, allowing them to gain a competitive edge in the global manufacturing market. This not only transformed the market for these materials but also global shipping and procurement patterns which influence other sectors as well. Furthermore, as Japan's competitive advantage become visible, other countries model their practices on theirs, further deepening the globalized patterns of procurement and trade blazed by the Japanese Banker 2007. China can also be seen pursuing a similar pattern of development. Today, it is now one of the world's largest importers of basic raw materials such as iron and surpass Japan, the United States, and Europe in steel production in terms of its low-wage labor and supply chain management. China has also had enormous impact on the availability and consumption of goods around the globe. Nolan 2004. China has also now surpassed the World Bank in lending to developing countries. The China Development Bank and the China Export-Import Bank signed loans of the less $110 billion to other developing countries, governments, and companies in 2009 and 2010. The implications here are political as well as economic. Grant and loans made by state can often have economics and political string attached, as the Japanese experience has shown. Islam 1991. India is often mentioned in the same breath as China for its scale and impact on globalization. India, too, has opened up and emphasized an export-oriented strategy. Textile and other low-wage sectors have been a key part of economy, but high-value exports such as software development have also been highly successfully. International migrant labor, India and China, among others in the region, have become major source of international migrant labor, which is also one of a fundamental characteristic of the era of globalization. This includes the migration of highly skilled labor into the high-tech industry based in Silicon Valley, which includes a disproportionate number of immigrants from India and China, but much more prominent in the flow of domestic workers to other places in the region of the Middle East, Europe, and the United States. Much of migration has received international attention because it often undocumented and working conditions can be poor deadly. Remittance from migrant workers, human constitute a large majority of countries' migrant pool, including Indonesia 79%, the Philippines 71%, and Sri Lanka 66%. Kiyo Himatsu and Osaki 2010-30 remittance from migrants have also become a core source of income for many of the region's economies.
Regional free trade arrangement in the Asia-Pacific and South Asia are becoming more prevalent. This arrangement can be seen in two ways: as defense against globalization or as a way to advance global economic integration. The later view suggests that regionalism helps countries learn about the benefits of free trade pressures, domestic audience, and build a framework for broader global cooperation. Essentially, regionalism can support and enhance globalization. A key aspect of regional institution in these areas is open regionalism, which aims to foster cooperation with external partners. This approach helps reconcile the development of regional trade agreements with the global trade goals of organization. Like the WTO, open regionalism emphasizes non-discrimination, meaning that it allows for open membership and economic flows, unlike regional trade agreement in North America. NAFTA and Europe, the European Union, which are more exclusive, and close. Asia, Pacific, and South Asia regionalism is inclusive and cooperative. Open regionalism. Open regionalism is a concept best illustrated by the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC, an organization formed in 1989. APEC consists of 21 members economies located around the Pacific Rim, which include East Asian and Southeast Asian countries, as well as Russia, Peru, Chile, the United States, and Canada. The 1990 Ministerial Declaration emphasized that it was desirable to reduce trade barriers in good service among member economies, as long as such liberalization adhered to the principles of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade and did not harm other countries. This approach ensures that trade liberalization benefits all parties involved and remains consistent with broader global trade rules. Despite facing significant challenges such as the 1997 Asian financial crisis and the more recent global economic crisis, APEC remains committed to promoting regional cooperation that support and advance globalization. APEC's vision of open regionalism encourages inclusive and non-discriminatory economic policies, which contrast with the more exclusive nature of some other regional trade agreements. Additionally, the broad area of culture and globalization in the region is an important aspect to consider as cultural. Exchange and understanding play a significant role in fostering cooperation and integration among diverse economies. Asian product in the global market. The influence of Asian product and culture has spread widely across the globe, becoming integral part of international market and everyday life. Japanese influence. One prominent example is Hello Kitty, created by the Sanrio Group in Japan, 1974. This character has achieved immense global success, appearing on a widely variety of products from everyday items like pencil and eraser to high-end goods such as designer handbags and diamond-encrusted watches. Hello Kitty generates around $1 billion in revenue annually. Japanese entertainment, especially anime, has also become a global phenomenon. Popular franchises like Pokemon, Mario Brothers, Astro Boy, and Power Rangers are widely recognized and loved around the world. This trend is often associated with the spread of kawaii or cute culture, sometimes referred to as pink globalization. Japan is not alone in its cultural exports. Asian cinema, including kung fu movies from China and Hollywood. Film from India has gained massive popularity in the West. Moreover, individual filmmakers from Asia have received international acclaim, further showcasing the region's culture.
The region as an alternative to globalization. The arguments from this perspective see the region as a source of resistance to globalization or global or Western powers. In this context, titignan ang ibang bansa sa Asia, kailangan region as potential counterforce to the impact of globalization. Halimbawa na lang noong 1930s at 1940s na ang Japan ay nagbalak na bumuo ng regional alliance na tinatawag na East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. Sphere refers initially to Japan, China, and Manchukuo. Yung napagkasunduan nila ito pagsamahin upang magtulungan mga bansa to have better opportunities and access to good quality of life. Sila ang nag-propose nito ay under Japanese leadership siya. May control sila rito, kaya nalaunan naging malinaw sa kanila na pagkakasunduan nito ay mostly benefited ang Japan lang. Kaya ang binuo nilang Co-Prosperity Sphere ay hindi rin nagtagal. Dahil ang Japan lang ang ikinabang rito. Ipinakita ang halimbawa ng kasaysayang ito. Paano maaaring mabigo ang isang regional na kikipagtulungan kung saan pansariling interes. Lamang ang isang bansa ng pangingibabaw, kaya importante ang magkaroon ng tunay at patas na kooperasyon. Following this historical example, mahalagang maintindihan din kung paano hinubog ang unique cultural values. Tanging kultura ang Asia, ang regional cooperation. Ang Asian values na emphasize dating Prime Minister ng Malaysia na si Mahathir Mohamad. Nasa sumuporta, focus sa komunidad, paggalang sa authority at kakaisa, naiiba ito sa mga Western values. Nakilala sa pagiging makasarili o individualism, hindi tulad dito sa Asia na aming kultura. Also, we are known for being collectivist. Isinasaalang natin yung mga ibang tao at ang lipunan natin. Kaya dito nagpapakita na ang Asia ay kailangang gayahin yung mga approach na meron sa Western para mag-succeed. Mas okay kung bumuo na lang ng sariling values na nagpa-prioritize ng sa bawat isa, hindi pansarili lamang.
So another way the region serves as an alternative to globalization is through the lens of regional arrangement. So yung mga ibang Asian countries before, they tried to build their own organization or group na walang participation yung mga Western countries. So paraan nila ito to have more control and independence. Hindi yung umaasa lang sila sa global arrangement or organization na malaki ang impluwensya ng mga Western countries, specifically ang Estados Unidos. So, ang example ng binuo nila dating organization or isang grupo ay yung tinatawag na East Asia Economic Caucus or EAEC. So, ang EAEC ay pinopose ng dating Prime Minister ng Malaysia na si Mahathir Mohamad noong 1990. Isa itong regional trade zone at ang layunin niya ay bumuo ng isang regional economic group na puro Asian countries lamang ang makakasapi. Particularly yung mga bansa sa nakasali sa ASEAN, which ibig sabihin is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Ang idea nila ay buuin ito nang walang participation ang Western countries, since sila yung halos may malaking impluensya whenever merong sa global association or organization. Pero sa kasamang palad, hindi siya na-propose, hindi naging successful dahil sa pagtutol ng Estados Unidos and other reasons din. So, habang ang mga collaborations sa ekonomiya, sa culture, na mga ito ay nagpapakita ng pagsisikap ng Asia na bumuo ng pagkakaisa, hindi lahat ng regional arrangements ay nakakabuti. So, halimbawa na natin yung grupo ng Jemaah Islamiyah or tinatawag na JI. So, ang grupong ito ay grupong pang-terorista na nakabase sa Indonesia. So, sila yung example ng grupo na gumagamit ng regional network na para tutulan ang mga influence ng Western countries. Ang layunin ng JI ay magtatag ng isang Islamic state sa Southeast Asia na may ugnayan yung mga bansa tulad ng Malaysia, Philippines, at Thailand. So, kasamang palad, sila yung responsible sa pagbobomba noong 2002 sa Bali, Indonesia. So, ang halimbawa na ito ay habang yung mga ibang region or bansa ay gustong itaguyod yung kanilang kapayapaan ng bansa nila at cooperation. Ang iba ay maaaring gumamit ng mga radikal na mga paraan upang tutulan yung mga influence ng Western countries or pandaigdig na impluensya.
Kaya Asian regionalism. Nagpapakita na ang mga bansa in region ay kakaisa at tutulungan to help one another at iwasan lumipende masyado sa mga global systems na mumunuan ng mga Western countries. This include historical partnership, common values, economic plans, theoretical groups, and community projects. Pinapakita ng Asia na kaya nitong pamahalaan ang mga outside pressures habang patuon sa mga mahalagang bagay para sa region na lumilikha ng tanging paraan para sa kooperasyon at independent.